I know the PAL region is always getting the short end of the stick when it came to video game releases. If you've been following this channel, you will know I have a tendency to favor the North American region. I get a lot of viewers telling me this game isn't available over here, or that they can't seem to find the game on the PSN store, and my usual response is, what region are you in? Because this video is only for North America. And then they go, oh. And then I feel bad because they can't find the game that I was just talking about. Well, listen up, European friends. Today's your lucky day. I'm going to show you 5 PS1 games you can play on your PS Vita that's available on the European PSN store. Number 5. Spyro the Dragon. I think for me, this is one of those games that fell under the radar, mainly because I was such a huge Crash Bandicoot fan at the time. I didn't get a chance to play Spyro the Dragon till years later, and I think by that time, I felt like it was a little too late for me. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I just think there are 3D platformers that can do it so much better. Let me explain. It all has to do with how Spyro interacts with the environment around him. You're running around in a 3D world, but you never feel like you're a part of the background. It's like Spyro was programmed to run in a straight line, and whenever he needs to change direction, he comes to a complete stop, does a 180, and runs straight in the other direction. It's very stop and go kind of movement. It's not very smooth and kind of makes me a little dizzy actually. It feels very two-dimensional. And I don't know if it was intentional or if it was a result of hardware limitations, but it always appeared as if Spyro was only able to run in 8 directions. It's like this, as my friend Tim would put it. It's like Spyro was running in place and the environment was rotating around him. Now you compare that to games like Banjo-Kazooie or even Mario 64, where the character has full range to move in a complete circle. Like, the controls in those games make it appear as if the characters are actually running in a 3D environment. Spyro just doesn't have that full range of movement. Does that make sense to you guys? I don't know. I'm trying to explain it as best I can. You guys can let me know if I'm crazy or not. There's an option to turn the camera to an active state, which does help hide the limitations a bit, but it's still not as smooth as you would expect from a game that's supposed to be in full 3D. Now, this is in no way to keep you from playing Spyro the Dragon. I just wanted to make sure you knew what you were getting yourself into before starting the game. Because outside of that, I think everything else is fantastic. Enemy characters are beautifully animated, the way they run away, the way they fall to the ground. I mean, it looks good. Like, the storytelling and presentation are absolutely top-notch. The music and the voiceovers are Hollywood quality, and they sound like they were recorded off a high-production soundstage. It's just the way the character moves around the environment is what's gonna catch you off guard. At least for me it did. Maybe I'm just more sensitive to that kind of thing. I've spoken to a few friends about this issue, and even though it didn't bother them as much, they still noticed it when they were playing. I don't know, I guess it's personal preference at this point. Let me know if it bothered you, or if you didn't even notice it, or you can just tell me to stop complaining. It's all good. Number 4. Driver. Alright, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys here. I tried playing this game back when it first came out on the PS1, and I just couldn't get into it. Not because I thought it was a bad game, but because I just couldn't get past the tutorial. For those who don't know, before you play the story mission, you have to pass a tutorial where you basically perform a series of car maneuvers around a parking lot. I guess the developers wanted to make sure you know how to control the car before heading into the actual game, which I can completely understand. You know, too many games get a bad rep because people don't know how to properly work the controls, and then they end up giving the game a bad score. I get it. But holy hell, man. I couldn't, for the love of God, get past this tutorial. I tried it once in high school, then again in college, and I just couldn't get it. I know there's a practice mode where you can watch how it's done, but I just couldn't do it. I think it was because of that one move, the reverse 180. I would get frustrated when it wouldn't come out, and then I'd crash into another car, and then the time would expire. You basically had to do the moves in like perfect order in under a minute. I put the game away and I figured, oh well, this is one game I'm never gonna get to experience. Okay, so fast forward a couple more years, and I'm getting ready to make this video. I'm like super focused now. I figured if I can make it through the end of Revelations 2 on the PS Vita, then I can damn sure make it through this tutorial. Well, I would like to announce to everyone that I've finally made it past the tutorial. My first reaction was, wow, this game doesn't look half bad. I never actually knew what it looked like outside of that garage, but now I finally see it. Feels a little weird. Like, I don't know. It's like leaving the vault for the first time in Fallout 3, I guess. The game plays as you would expect. You're a driver, either picking up people and taking them to their destinations or delivering certain packages. The main appeal here, I think, are the missions that are timed based, where you have to do it while the cops are chasing you. My only complaint is that the car handles like complete shit. Even with the tutorial that took me 20 years to get past, I still have a difficult time controlling this thing. It feels almost like a sim version of the Hot Pursuit mode from Need for Speed 3. I think that's the best way I can explain it. If you can get past that dreaded tutorial, Driver is definitely worth checking out. Number 3. Future Cop LAPD. Every time I look at the cover of this game, I think of Ed 209 from RoboCop. Do you guys see the resemblance? I've read a review to this game in an issue of Next Generation. Yeah, remember that thing? And it said this had some of the best explosions ever in a video game. I'd have to agree with that statement. I think they're quite impressive looking, even today, so I can only imagine what they must have looked like back in 1998. Oh my god, I can't believe it's been over 20 years since this game came out. Am I really that old? I think the reason Future Cop works so well on the PS Vita is that it's one of those games that seems like it was designed for a small screen. The game plays like a third-person shooter where the player takes control of the X1 Alpha, a robot that was built to fight crime in Los Angeles. The year is 2098, by the way. So we're about 80 years away from what's about to happen. You're supposed to hunt down bad guys by blowing stuff up. You also open up doors by blowing stuff up. Basically, just shoot whatever you see on screen. And you know what? It works. There's various weapons you can equip, each one with a different set of firepower. Overall, I think it's pretty fun, even though I feel some of the game design can be annoying. First off, controlling your character, or robot I should say, feels rather clumsy. Moving side to side isn't very precise, so navigating narrow ledges can be somewhat of an issue. I think the map layout could also use some work. They're just not all that interesting to look at. Also, I feel like the game could use some checkpoints, because if you die, you gotta start all the way from the beginning. You guys know how much I love doing that. I was getting flashbacks of Unit 13 for a second there. I'm trying to think of another game I can compare Future Cop to, but I just can't for some reason. You're just gonna have to give it a try yourself. Number 2. Fear Effect. Uh-oh, I think my hidden gem alert is going off. Metal Jesus, are you listening to this? Here's another game that took me a while to get a hang of. Okay, so the first thing I thought of when I started playing this was Resident Evil 2. You know, because of the pre-rendered backgrounds. But wait, that's what they want you to think, because they're not really pre-rendered backgrounds. I did a little bit of digging, and it turns out the backgrounds are actually composed of full motion video that's played back on a loop. I think it's an effect that was used in parts of the Resident Evil remake for the GameCube. I'm not positive on that, so my tech fans will have to verify that one. But the other reason why I was reminded of Resident Evil 2 is that it plays very much like it. You know, you got your items that you pick up, enemies that you shoot, and environmental puzzles that you have to solve. But I think the key difference here is that the backgrounds play a heavier role than they did in the RE games. They just require so much more attention, you could say. Like, a lot of the puzzles you need to solve require that you interact some way with the environment. Maybe it might be a switch you have to pull, a button you have to press, or a window you have to climb through. It's not complicated, but the problem is that it's not very obvious. Like, you could pass by a switch you're supposed to press so easily just because everything blends together so well. Don't get me wrong, this game looks fantastic. I just think it's more complicated than it needs to be. I don't know, maybe like some sort of on-screen prompt or hint system that would pop up if you needed help or something. It's supposed to be an action-adventure game, but at times it feels more like a detective game with how thorough you have to comb the environment for clues. The gunplay is alright. You don't really have to aim, per se. You sort of just make sure you're looking in the right direction and fire. I mean, you'll know when it's the right time to do so. It takes a lot of dedication, but if you've got the patience, this is one hell of a game. The atmosphere, the mood, the music, the story. You play as a mercenary who's searching for the missing daughter of a powerful Hong Kong triad boss. Like, that alone makes me want to play the game. And even though the gameplay resembles Resident Evil, I couldn't help but think how the art style reminded me of Akira. You know, the anime. And I might even say it looks a little bit like Ghost in the Shell. Hey anime fans, what do you guys think? It's a very futuristic look to everything is what I'm trying to say. If you're thinking about picking this up, take my advice. Read the environment, press all the buttons, look for a guide on YouTube. Do what you gotta do, because this is a game you should not miss. Number 1. Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. Believe it or not, this is my favorite PS1 game. I played through it so many times, I think I know it like the back of my hand. I might even be able to play it in my sleep. I was doing speedruns in this game before speedrun was even a thing. This is, in my opinion, the best out of the 3. Whereas the first Crash was too difficult, the second was a little too easy, the third was just perfect. Alright, fine, I take that back. The second one wasn't too easy. It just got a little slow towards the end. Crash 3 managed to keep you excited all the way through. I'm not sure why I was so obsessed with this game back then. I remember going to a friend's house and just playing the crap out of it. Alright, story time. My childhood friend, Ben, got it for Christmas, I think, and I would basically go over his house every day after school and play it. It was his game, but I think I played it more than he did. Even to this day, I don't even know why he bought it. I don't think he ever even played it. So anyway, school just ended for that day. I remember getting off the bus. We're walking down this long ass street that seems to go on forever. Finally, we get to his house, and I remember having to walk up all these stairs to get to his room. His room's in the attic, by the way, so there's a lot of stairs. It was also hot up there for some reason. I remember going into his room, we put down our book bags on the floor, and we're turning on the TV. And it was great. You know, we both had this mutual agreement where I would play video games and he would just hang back and play with action figures. I remember him sitting at his desk playing with his Power Ranger toys and me on the floor playing Crash Bandicoot 3. And occasionally he would glance over and see where I was and stuff. So basically I had the game all to myself. And I think there were other days where he would just go downstairs and watch TV, leaving me upstairs playing Crash Bandicoot all by myself. Ben was such a good friend. I wonder what he's up to. Anyway, if you're in the PAL region, this game should be available. I hope you guys can enjoy it on your Vita as much as I did when I played it on the original PlayStation. This game means a lot to me, and I always get a little teary whenever I see it on the shelf in my room. Now, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more awesome PlayStation Vita content, make sure you click the links on the screen or the ones that are pinned down below. Thanks for the click, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.